Hello and welcome to a special episode of Cardiff Central and Scarlet Fever. We're doing a joint thing for the derby tomorrow or this morning as you're listening on your way to the stage. I'm joined with Hugh Griffin. How are you doing, Hugh?
I'm very well, Harley, mate. I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. I mean, I don't know why we're doing recording a podcast the night before, as we're going to actually go see each other. Well, we'll be seeing each other phew, in
Ooh,
not a lot of time at all,
not
actually.
a lot of time at all. Not a lot. So, viewers of the Rap YouTube channel, get ready to see a lot of our faces.
Yes, and apologies for mine.
Right.
Right now. So as you're the visitor to Cap, and somehow weirdly the more almost as equally successful there during this derby, would you like to talk through the team changes first?
Are we doing drink of the week end
Um,
before I do that? Because I've got one. Are you drinking? Or is it just me?
I haven't. I said I haven't actually managed to grab anything. I'll do a forfeit drinker when we get into Cardiff, I think.
Okay. Well, I'll drink
So
for the
what have
both
you
of
got
us.
there?
So I've got I get my I'm an ale drinker and I get my ale from Sainsbury's because the ale from Lidl is rubbish. So Um, this is one of their IPAs. This one's 5.9%. I didn't realize that. If I'd known that, I wouldn't have got it. Um, but I do like to get my ales from Sainsbury's, and this one's an IPA. Uh, it doesn't say anything particularly special about it. It just says that it's an Indian pale ale and it's from Sainsbury's. Taste the difference. It's fairly nice.
Yeah, I mean, I get most of my alcohol from Sainsbury's. That's more because it is the only supermarket in the town. It's that or a
Down in
one stop.
Exeter, down in not Exeter. Where are you?
I'm in a little town called Ottery St Mary, which is about half an hour drive from Exeter. Most famous for the locals every bonfire night, sticking flaming barrels of tar on the back and running around.
Oh, really?
It's good
Can
fun.
can you drink that?
The flaming barrel of tar, no, but there is a wonderful gin which is inspired by it called Flaming Barrel Gin, and it is gorgeous.
Oh, you have to get James that. James likes his gin.
Yeah, well, it depends how much I like him. Maybe we might do it as a forfeit gin, one of the Cardiff Ospreys derbies.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Do that.
You can get me Sam Davis's.
Oh yeah, I've got to try Alan Wynn's rum at some point.
Said I think I brought this story up on Rap, but my colleague, well, soon to be ex-colleague, because I'm leaving the lab soon. But her brother was the distiller who helped Alan Jones make his rum.
Now there's a claim to fame.
Yeah, and they're all quite big rugby fans. Unfortunately, mostly all English.
Well,
Yeah, I can't
let's
you
not
know,
let's
no one's
let's not go
perfect, is
there.
that?
I do have a good friend who lives down in Exeter, though. He's from that part of the world. Shout out, Jake, if you do listen. Anyway, shall we actually talk about the match? I could just imagine Lee editing this like, "Oh, bastards! They spent the last half an hour talking about drinks." Anyway, right. Are we going to do right? We'll start with the lineups. Shall I do Scarlet's lineup first because we're the
Yeah, you,
guest?
you you talk you talk us through the Scarlets.
Right.
Um,
My inbox has resembled some sort of Scarlet's fans Samaritans service for the last few hours, as people message me saying, "Hugh, what is happening? Why is this happening to me? Where do I get help?" It is the kind of the gist of the things that people have been saying since this team sheet has been announced. So we got Wyn Jones at loose heads, which I suppose if you're going to have Wyn Jones anywhere is where you would put him. Ryan Elias at hooker, Harry O'Carter at tight head. Then you got Alex Craig. I suppose so far there's nothing really to be particularly worried about. And then you got Jack Price in the row as well. Fifita reprises his role at blindside. You got Dan Davis is back into the team at open side, and then Carwyn Tuipulotu packs down at number 8. So I think the big talking point there is Dan Davis is back and straight back into the starting 15. That is despite Teddy Leatherbarrow, in my opinion, being head and shoulders our best player from the last month. Leatherbarrow is relegated to the bench wearing the number 20 jersey. I should imagine most Scarlets fans aren't thrilled about that. Now, Dan Davis is a great player and we all love him, including me. but I don't think Teddy Leatherbow deserved to lose his place. I think he's one of the few players that, no matter what the scoreline has been so far this season, he's been one of the top performers. So that's an interesting one. I've also said that for me, Fafita this season, we either play him in the row or we play him at number 8. Now, I think he's perfectly good at number 6, but I think based on the team that we have, it's not where I'd be picking him right now. Anyway, into the back. Oh, go on, mate. Sorry.
I was just going to say, going on the back row, I thought the whole idea with Callum Mahoney coming in and you signing Alex Craig was for Fafita to be playing more at 6 with Cohen Tupulotu as your lead guy at 8. However, I feel like your back rows look best with Leatherbarrow at 7, Fafita at 8, and Ben Williams at 6. I think that's when your back rows look best.
I'd go with that. Ben Williams isn't even in the 23, which is a bit of a shock because, again, I think he's gone quite well. I think if Plumtree was fit, Plumtree would be 6 and Fafita would be 8. It is what I suspect our best team is. Now, there's rumours about Sam Lousy might be on his way out, but I would probably say Lousy in the row with Alex Craig, and then Fafita at 8, and then Leatherbarrow and Plumtree would be our first choice. Now, we've got Leatherbarrow and Fafita both available, but neither of them are in what I would deem to be their first choice positions, i.e. Leatherbarrow's not in the starting 15 and Fafita's at number 6. So, no, it's not the end of the world. Speaking of the end of the world, I'm going to talk you through the back line now. So, Gareth Davies is at number 9. Fine, happy with that. Johan Lloyd is at number 10. Fine, happy with that. Steph Evans keeps his place in the team, despite some iffy performances, to put it mildly. Eddie James is in at number 12. And then the big talking point, the one that's on everyone's lips, Johnny Williams moves across to outside centre at number 13. So Johnny Williams, I've been able to look up, has played 6 games at outside centre, started 6 games at outside centre before in his career, once at Newcastle, and then another 5 times in a spell for the Scarlets last season or the season before. I think it's fair to say. Sorry?
I forgot you played for Newcastle.
Yeah, that's where we got him from. Anyway, he's I think most people would say it's not his natural position. Apparently, Joe Roberts is injured. He's got a knee injury, which at least explains it somewhat.
That's a huge loss.
It is. I think Joe Roberts is possibly our best player over the last 18 months. It's almost like someone said to Dwayne, you can't pick Johnny at number 12. We need to get Eddie in there. And then we've all gone, no, not like that. So we've got Eddie James and Johnny Williams. That's cause for concern. It's basically an entire new 10, 12, 13 combination. Eddie, this will be his 3rd professional start, I think, 3rd or 4th. And Johnny playing at 13th. Johnny goes off script, shall we say, at the best of times. So going off script at 13 is not what you want to be doing. I'm being incredibly down on the lads. If it all, this is one of those situations where I'll be incredibly delighted to be wrong, and I'll freely admit to that in a public forum next week if I am. But anyway, Tom Rogers keeps his place on the wing, which I'm fine with, and Johnny McNichol keeps his place at 15, which I'm fine with, except for the fact that Johnny has struggled to show up so far this season, in my opinion. Given that he is one of the elder statesmen of the squad, I would have liked him to be more of a leader on the pitch compared to some of his colleagues in the back line.
I mean, one thing that will help is that players like McNichol and Gareth Davis like playing at cap. They seem to like causing us lots of problems. Hence, so the last 2 games you've beaten us by 6 points and then 35 points, which is a record home defeat for us versus you guys. So I mean,
yes, I remember that game. It could be worse. Anyway, on the bench, Sean Evans is our replacement hooker. Steph Thomas, replacement loose heads. Joe Jones, aka Wilgriff John Mark II, is at replacement tight head. Morgan Jones is our second row replacement Leatherbarrow number 20, as I referred to earlier. Kieran Hardy keeps his place at the 21 jersey, so 2 of the 3 first choice Welsh scrum halves are in our matchday 23 as per. Charlie Titcombe is at number 22. So far, whenever Yohan Lloyd has been picked, he's been picked for the full 80, and Charlie Titcombe has not come onto the pitch, which is something that I would like to see change, particularly if we need to improve our kicking game, which we absolutely do. Wouldn't mind seeing Titcombe come in at 10 and Yohan Lloyd move to 15. I think that would work quite well. And I think when Sam is back and fit, I think Yohan Lloyd is going to find himself at 15 quite a fair bit. Anyway, and then Yohan Nicholas is wearing the number 23 jersey. I think a lot of Scarlets fans would have expected to see Yohan wearing 13 with either Johnny or Eddie on the bench. So yeah, so a surprising 15, I think it's fair to say. One that doesn't excite. I think it's fair to say it's there's a few combinations and there's a few selections in there that I think most Scarlets fans would choose not to have. Now, again, like I said, if we win, I'm quite happy to come back on next week and say about how wrong I was. But it's not a 15 that gets me, builds me confidence, I'll be honest.
I'm sure there's been conversations like this last 2 years. I'm still nervous about losing because Cardiff seem to have forgotten how to beat the Scarlets, despite one season beating you something like 44-0 at Parker Scarlets, and then we conceded that scoreline at Cap. If I remember rightly, I know there's definitely one absolutely massive scoreline, and then we allowed ourselves to get beaten in the back. So I'm not ruling anything out. But
well, you were on that great run last year, and then you went into the derby period over Christmas, and you lost to us and the Ospreys. And if you'd have won one of those games, you'd have probably made the playoffs, and you were clearly the better team at the time. You know, there's nothing quite like ruining each other's seasons that happens in Welsh derbies, is there? I mean, whoever is bottom of the table and whoever is building up for a place in the playoffs, you can guarantee that the wrong team will win.
Well, I mean, you had the similar thing with Judgment Day, didn't you? You had an outside chance of making the Champions Cup, and Dragons won. I think the big issue for us was we probably had the worst 2 weeks possible to have a complete and utter failure of line out, which I know is a very Cardiff thing, but it happened and then it didn't help then. The Ospreys absolutely dismantled our scrum. We made up for it then the following week against Scarlets, but that was all we did. So then Scarlets just ran round and it didn't matter because the scrum and set piece only matter against the Scarlets if you can do both set pieces well. Normally there's enough because normally Scarlets have enough batshit magic to compensate for the scrum going backwards at knots. Particularly for a team like Cardiff, I find that we were struggling, and I think that's why we lost at Parker Scarlets as well. Was our attack wasn't firing. Now the attack's gotten a lot better now, so hopefully that'll help. And I would say for Cardiff, we've probably gone for pretty much more of the same with a bit of freshening up and a few better places coming in. So starting with the front row, we've got the full run of the front row as they were marketed re-signing. So Corey Domachowski, Liam Belcher, who's captaining, and Kieran Nazarati coming straight back in from injury. Hoping he's fit and ready to go. I'm always a bit nervous, but I think Sherratt follows a similar philosophy to Dar Young, where you'd rather a player coming back from injury start, because then you've got a fit player on the bench to replace, because then you've got a fit player who can do 70, as opposed to worrying about having an unfit player doing 70. So
your tight heads are a bit of a conundrum at the moment. They're all, as James Lawrence Alcott would say, he's good, but is he good type category. They all seem to be able to do a job on their day and then really not on not their day.
I'd say the only one who's had real trouble so far this season was like proper trouble was probably Will Davis-King, who's probably the youngest and the least experienced, particularly at scrummaging. So Azarati's had quite a lot of it. He's seemed to have made his mistakes, doing quite well. Reece Littrick who's on the bench, was absolutely fantastic for the ball against the Bulls until it got to about the 65th minute, and then he started buckling. But he really shored it up against the Stormers, and they're two of the.
Let's be honest. Let's be brutally honest. The Scarlets is not the toughest scrummaging test that your front row is going to face this season.
No, Reece Littrick managed to get Kenzie Mathias sent off within about after about half time with the yellow, after being yellow carded, and then he We haven't seen him since the game after that, where he went off after half an hour. I'm wondering, and if you listen to the Ospreys series, James Reese, he thinks Wyn Jones has lost his mojo. I don't know if that was after a couple of games of being battered at tight head.
Yeah.
But front row, I'm quite happy. Second row, Seb Davis keeps his place at loose headlock with Teddy Williams returning. So I'm quite happy with that.
Two second rows playing in the second row, which is nice.
Yep.
Although
do you know what? We don't even have a second row in the back row, like this week. So this is good. I said I'm quite happy with Seb and Teddy. I think they've been working quite well together whenever they played. Teddy looks to the manner born since he came back from Wales camp. So I'm quite.
All of the players who've come back from Wales look a cut above the non-Wales players. There's obviously whatever they were doing in the summer camp worked.
Yeah, I think Teddy's just come back and he's just so much more aggressive and he's becoming that gnarly bastard lock that we've been missing for a while.
I had not a small number of Cardiff fans explain to me at length about how Teddy Williams is a back row and not a second row, and I respectfully disagreed, and I feel I've been vindicated.
I personally, for me, I think when he was sort of breaking out, he wasn't really carrying the grunt and wasn't really doing what we needed. Because I think we do, like, the reason why Tamani's been such a great signing for us is because he's a primary/secondary carrier. So I think that's, and he's really gone into that and he's really aggressive. Because everyone's wanted Seb to be that for years and it's not really his game. He is very much more, he is an out athlete lock for me. And, his wonderful fun to win us the game. Speaking of winning this game, in the back row, we've got the absolutely phenomenal Alex Mann at blindside with the man known as Simba amongst certain Cardiff circles because, he's the heir to the kingdom. Since Warby. And then we've got Big McIntyre's himself, Mackenzie Martin, start with his first professional start at 8.
At number 8.
I'm really excited. And I think the battle between him and Carwyn Tuipulotu is going to be interesting because those are two very big men. And
it will be interesting.
And if Carwyn Tuipulotu pulls up his end of the bargain like he was the other week, this could be very good. I'm really looking forward to that.
Do we think Gats is going to be in the crowd taking this win?
I don't know. I mean, either way, he's going to be watching. He's going to have the data on them all. I think the thing is with both, unless Gatland's going to do a massive swing for what he wants from a number 8, because he's been so used to the Talupi Faletau dynamic, athletic, darting around, the classic edge forward, good in the line out.
Yeah.
I'm not sure either of these two, and it's the same for Morgan Morris. I feel Morgan Morris would probably more Gats' classic 7, maybe 6, which is where maybe they come in.
Morgan Morris is also liking having a line out option at 6 now.
Yeah, so he doesn't always go. I don't know if that's just because Wales haven't had it in the past, and maybe he might change it. And the rumor is in the Six Nations, he's going to effectively tell a lot of the more senior players saying, "You're not out of Wales contention yet, but but this is going to be a hurt. This is going to be a tournament that's going to hurt. But I'm going to have a look at what we've got. Where do we need to build?" I don't know how true that is, but yeah, for me, Mackenzie Martin shouldn't be anywhere near the Wales squad, not because of his talent, not because of his skill. I just don't think he's had enough time. I feel like Mason Grady sort of, we've seen it. He seems to have found his mojo again, but I felt like he suffered for being brought into the international setup too early. Just because he's big, massive, and he was the most direct fit for if George North got injured, you just sort of cram him in because he's a similar size specimen and could do a similar job. This is his first pro start, so he's had one, maybe 2 off the bench, and he's still a very young man. Let's give. I know we've got to bloody youngsters at regional level, but there's no reason to throw him straight into international if we don't need to.
Yeah.
Although saying that, I think Alex Mann might have a shout at being in a wider squad, just because he looks like he's been playing for a lot.
Well, with Plumtree out, we're a 6 down.
And Alex Mann, although he's probably not the out and out lock 6, that especially we've lost Plumtree and Chunza, who are
Have we lost Chunza? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's got a broken foot. He might be back for the Six Nations, but probably the later half. That's why he's not been playing for Exeter at 7 for Rob Baxter reasons.
He's not a 7. Anyway, move on.
Baxter doesn't play a 7. He likes 2 6s, preferably 8-7 second rows if he can.
Yeah.
It's really weird. His primary jackal for years, the primary jackal threats at Exeter were always the hooker and Jack Nowell on the wing. They were the main two, and for most of the time, wasn't really a massive over the ball. They weren't very.
Hence Jack now getting picked at flanker for England.
Yeah. But I mean, their defensive system was a bit not the same as Leinster's over the past, but they were more keep hitting and hitting and hitting to get a mistake as opposed to focusing too heavy on the turnover, and then being a very much on ball team, which is why they liked having someone like Sam Simmons at 8 because he was very easy for Dave Hughes to carry over the line like a handbag. But that's enough taking the piss out of Exeter chat. So anyway, so that's the pack. I'm quite happy with that. I think Alex Mann's looking great. Ellis Jenkins is showing up to be the leader we all know he can be again. Even if he hasn't got the responsibility as captain, it's nice seeing him lead the pack. I mean, the scrum 5 clip with him sort of easing Mackenzie Martin in, which is just, that's when we're saying, you get the Dragons pod complained about this weekend. Yeah. We've been doing it for weeks saying that's what we mean by leadership on the field. It's not necessarily the captain barking at the ref. It's just making sure the younger players know what they're doing, which is quite hard when you've got a team of younger players and none of them know what they're doing.
Yeah. I'll never get over Ellis Jenkins' injury against South Africa. He should have been captain of the Lions in 2021.
Yeah, it's one of those things. But then Josh Navidi probably wouldn't have broken through that. And I think he was probably one of our key players then for the 2019 World Cup.
I do that. I'm just sad. I thought Ellis Jenkins really had the world at his feet.
We can always go at thing. I mean, he looks set to be the main Wales captain for next 5-10 years.
He was so good.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so let's move on to the back line. So another one parachuted in from a minor injury. We've got Thomas Williams. So we've got all 3 of the current Wales squad 9s on show for this game. Then we've got Tina Stabia. So our Cardiff legend, Rian Lowe referred to him as on Dragons Pod. So that's a calf back behaviour that's been on. We discussed on the pod maybe liking Ellis Bevan to carry on because he's played so well against the Stormers. But I mean, Thomas is
good though, isn't he?
Yeah, Thomas is Thomas. Thomas is one of those players who can either win you can almost single-handedly win you a game if you.
I'll be a bit disappointed if Thomas and Gareth don't have a scrap.
I really, yeah, it'd be quite funny.
Because the best thing about Ospreys and Scarlets derbies used to be that Reece Webb and Gareth having a scrap.
No, just didn't want Gareth would just mock his tan, wouldn't he? And that was enough to set him off.
Yeah.
Anyway, backline man of the moment. Is he a winger? Is he a centre? Is he a centre playing on the wing? Which is what I'm just thinking. Sherratt's going for a 3-centre backline. So we've got Mason Grady. The bad boys are reunited. So the Cardiff. So like if neither of these two make the Scrum 5 team regional 15 of all time, at least for the nominations, I'll be upset because Willis Hallahola and Ray Lilo reforming.
What a joke of it! What a joke of a bit of content that is, by the way. The Scrum 5 regional 15 of all time, right? It's such a cop out, and the selections. Anyway, I won't rant on that.
Yeah, I mean, how is Nick Williams not the Cardiff 8? I don't care about Xavier and like whoever's been in the past. Nick Williams.
Aaron Shingler has been absolutely robbed in that poll. He's not even nominated for number 6. That's a disgrace.
Josh Navidi as well. He was a wonderful servant whilst both Nugget and Sam Warburton were away. But I said we could go. And
Sam Warburton is going to comfortably win that number 7 poll, and it's a farce because Sam Warburton played about 2 games for Cardiff in his life.
Anyway, so I said we got Hallahola and Lilo in the centres. Josh Adams comes straight back in from his World Cup injury to go on the right wing. Yes, Sting. I know he's a left winger. I think it's his defence against Steph Evans is occasionally weird one for attack. Also, I think Mason Grady works better on the left wing. I think he's slightly stronger passing to the right than he is to the left. But I mean, at the moment, the plan is don't need Mason Grady to pass at all. So that's going quite well. Yes. And then Cam Winnett, who I know some people don't think he might be ready for the step up for international rugby. I kind of want to see what he could do. But yeah, that's Wales. I think I mean, you've got an argument for Max Nagy on Nagy being the fullback of thing. I think Cam Winnett both sides of the ball has been better.
No, it's between Kai Evans and Cam Winnett for me. Yeah, obviously Halfpenny and Sanjay are both gone. But now we've got these two, and I can see these two having a rivalry for that jersey for many years. Many years.
I think as well, it's two very nice, different, they're very contrasting styles of fullback as well.
Very much
Similar
so.
way to
Very much so.
you know. I mean, with Kai Evans, you've got the benefit of if you've got you've got that solid points kicking option, and his boot, and if you're a bit worried about the range of someone's kicking, you can use him because he's got quite a decent distance on his boot as well. Cam Winnett again, loads of people say it reminds me of Halfpenny in his early days. Others say, I mean, for me, he reminds me of Sanjay quite a lot. He's very brave aerial in his attacking runs, and he's always got that attacking intent. But his defense is becoming very Halfpenny-esque. Yeah, he does seem to be, other than goal kicking, which I mean, to be fair, he's never had to do.
But he's good. He's good for a kick pass as well, which neither Halfpenny nor Sanjay really did. Lee could do a grubber very nicely, but I never saw him do a cross field kick for a pass.
I mean, he's never really had to be fair.
No,
certainly not on the way. Certainly not in any of the teams he was playing in.
No, especially if you got bigs in front of you. I mean, that's kind of his thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm very excited by Cam Winnett, but I'm equally excited by Kai Evans. I think Kai Evans is very in the mold of what a lot of other international teams are playing at 15 at the moment. But I love Cam Winnett as well. I'm equally impressed by him. So whichever one gets the nod in the Six Nations, I won't be sad.
Yeah, I could see both being in the squad.
Well,
I mean,
Sam is
Kai
going to be
Evans,
the
I think
15 for the Six Nations, isn't he? Though.
Yeah.
Sam is the short-term fix.
I'd rather Adams personally. I think he's got. I'm just gonna say heck, one of our previous pod titles is Furious Competence over Sexiness, and that's why I think Josh Adams is a much better defensively and positionally.
I think Josh Adams is the best rugby player out of all of them. I just don't know if 15 is the best place for him. Anyway, so
15,
is that
he's definitely better than them. But that's our 15. So on the bench we've got Evan Lloyd, who's impressed both times he's come off the bench so far this season. Big Red Machinery's carry with a point to prove.
Yeah, definitely.
I actually quite liking how him and Domachowski have been sort of rotated a lot throughout this season. Reece Littrick again, who I think has been absolutely fantastic during Alex Harati's injury and Kieran Parker's ban. Seems like people, including you, were like, "Well, he's the third choice at Harlequins. How can he be?" And then you saw Wilco Lowe do 80 minutes for the Bulls, and it's like, it's kind of why
I didn't think he was going to be any good. I'm perfectly happy to admit that. And if he goes backwards on tomorrow, I'll still think that.
Yeah, and then we've got dual hybrid lock back rowers, Shane O'Hughes and Josh Turnbull rounding out the pack replacements. So I thought Josh Turnbull coming off the bench really helps again with as a sort of leadership component, being our club captain. It's quite weird having your club captain coming off the bench, but he is coming back from injury, and unlike two of the club captain, I said, compared to two of the club captains, well, three of the club captains at the moment.
Who is the Ospreys club captain?
Justin Tipuric, I think. Or I think Booth hasn't given a formal club captain. He's just going to rotate it around different players. But I thought Justin Tipuric was the club captain because Booth said he's not giving it to Jack Morgan and Derry Lake just because they captain Wales.
Yeah, I get that.
Which is fair enough because if they're players you're not going to see, it's you should give it to someone who's going to be there week in, week out. Quite happy with that bench pack. Would have liked an out and out lock. But I mean, I think Shane Lewis Hughes has been doing all right when he's been on this in the second row. Again, this isn't going to be our harshest challenge.
So is Tamani injured then?
I don't know if they're just resting him and managing minutes because he's been doing an awful lot. And when Tamani plays, he is very much a primary carrier and he does an awful lot of work.
He was your best player by a country mile when you came to the park.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought the battle between him and Fafita was bruising.
Yeah, he made such a huge difference. As soon as you took him off, that's where you lost the game. Really, if you kept him on, you might have gotten a bit nearer the win.
Yeah, fully agree with that. Yeah, but I think Shane Lewis Hughes hasn't done anything wrong, and Josh Turnbull never puts in anything less than an 8 out of 10, if you ask me.
Hmm.
You know, all right, you can make jokes about how, he's got 3 Six Nation winners medals without playing a minute in either of those comps, but
He was there.
he's there, and he does offer the leadership, which we've been saying we've been missing for a while. And then replacement backs, if any of them get on, because of my issues with Jockey not using bench. So we've got Ellis Bevan, who I said I think should have started, and we have Thomas come off the bench as impact. But
It's a big
again, you've got
call
the
out
whole
there,
thing.
isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy with either one of them starting, the other one coming off the bench. Jacob Beetham, I'm guessing, is covering 15 and 10 because he's sort of a maybe 12. Otherwise, you're looking at Lilo going in.
What, the Welsh Damien Willemse, you're saying?
So going through the age grade, he was he sort of flitted between 10 and 15, with 15 being the sort of the one he looked like he was looking like he was going to settle on. But is very much more playmaking, almost more, if we're talking about difference between Cam Wint and Kai Evans, I'd say Beetham probably slightly more towards the Kai Evans side of things. He's actually a decent enough goal kicker from what I've heard. And Jockey, he played him at 12 during the pre-season, so I think that's an option, because I think he's looking to get dual playmakers in there somewhere. And it makes sense having someone who's played a bit of 10 if Ben Thomas is our long-term 12 option.
I'm surprised Ben Thomas isn't involved. Is he rested or injured?
I have to double check, but I think it's just a resting thing. And I think Jockey thinks that Halaholo and Lee are going to be the best to take on the Scarlets defense.
I mean, you're not short on cohesion there, are you?
Yeah, I mean, it's a centre partnership. We know themselves well. Thomas knows quite well. Tinis De Beer, I think, will benefit having Halaholo in him, inside him.
Yeah,
because he's a sort of pressure release valve player. If things are going wrong, give it to Halaholo and he'll make something.
Mm-hmm.
And secondly, Lilo's just been in such great form this season. You wouldn't believe he's in his late 30s.
Anyway, who else you got on the bench?
And then the last one, we've got Gabriel Hamer-Webb.
Right.
I think
I don't see the point in having a winger on the bench. I don't understand why teams do that. Because if you're looking for a player to come on and change the game, it's not a winger, is it? Unless it's like Chesney Colby or someone like that.
Well, you say that, but Dan Kasande certainly made his impact last week. And actually, I thought Gabriel Hamer-Webb, when he came on for Harry Miller last week, he again made a difference. And I think it's the case.
As per our conversation yesterday, I think Cardiff has set up to play 7. I think they've got the squads to play 7-1 split. That's what I would do, because you've got back rowers for days. You've got enough second rows or players who can play second row to be getting by. And then you've got Thomas who can cover 9 and 10. You got Halaholo who can cover 12 and 13. Josh Adams who can cover wing and fullback and outside centre, but not really. Ben Thomas can cover 12 and 10. And Mason Grady you can cover 11 and 13. And then that still leaves room for Cam Winnett, and then you have Ellis Bevan on the bench. So I would, if I was a Cardiff coach, I'd be like, 7-1 split. Because what's your weakness? Your weakness isn't the back line. It's not just your weakness. All Welsh teams' weakness, apart from maybe the Ospreys, is the pack. So why not load the bench with forwards? So, if it were me, I would look, if I was Cardiff bench coach, to at least do 6-2. Because like I say, I don't see any value in having a winger on the bench. Or go 7-1. And I think it'd be cool if you went 7-1. I think you've frankly let the side down.
I think the issue is Cardiff, if we're going to lose a player, it will be a winger. So actually having a wing. So I said, I think if it wasn't for the fact we're playing Mason Grady on the wing, we'd probably have a centre on the bench. Like you'd probably see like Ben Thomas. You'd see probably maybe Ben Thomas and Jacob Beetham in there. If they,
From play wing. Grady. So if you still had Lloyd Williams, he could be on the bench and he could cover wing.
He'd be covering 10. What are you on about? He's international. he may be international winger, but he's a club fly off, as all Connacht fans will know very well. But so, who do you think we sort of alluded to it. So the obvious one I started off with is with the Battle of the Eights. So head to head wise, who do we think? Which ones are the ones that are exciting you?
I mean, it would feel very harsh to say that um, Mackenzie is ahead of Carwyn, even though he's not actually started a professional game of rugby. So on that basis, it's got to be Carwyn is got to be ahead of him.
Yeah, I said I think yeah, but I think it's still an exciting. I said I think it's exciting battles. Anywhere else in the pack you're
Exciting.
interested?
I'm trying to think if there's any kind of Wales head-to-heads, and there aren't really. I
Well,
guess,
I suppose there's a nines.
well, yeah, Scarlets fans are excited about Harry O'Connor. So I think seeing how he matches up compared to Azarati will be interesting. The nine obviously is a good contest, but I feel like Gareth has kind of got the Wales nine nailed down. I feel like finally after the Pivac years, it's like clear who the first choice is, and I feel like it's Gareth after the Australia performance. Trying to think who else. If there's any kind of interesting matchups, really, because it feels I don't expect Gats to pick Halaholo ever. I've got to be honest. I just don't think. I think that was a very Pivac thing, Halaholo for
Yeah,
Wales.
I'm a bit gutted. Halahola never really got his chance because I think he sort of got into the team, showed that what he could do, and
We
then
never got a run
got
in the
a
team, did
horrific
he?
injury. No, but unfortunately, one thing that people are saying is, oh yeah, he's a bit old, and it's almost cursing because they said, oh, he's a bit old, but he started his career late and he's never really injured, and then it's just had the most horrific luck with injuries.
Tom
Which is
Rogers versus Mason Grady is an interesting battle because
yeah,
they're both. Well, I was about to say they're both playing out of position. They're not really. I think Tom Rogers' best position is wing, even though some people see him as a fullback. Whereas Mason Grady, it does feel like he's uh, a make do on the wing, even though it's going extremely well for him. And then the question is he going to be a George North and a Rico Ioane where he starts on the wing and works his way in? Which I wouldn't be against. But I think your back three, I said this to James earlier, is that if Wales' back three in the first game of the Six Nations was Mason Grady, Cam Winnett, and Josh Adams, you won't hear me complaining. So
I mean, I think there's still a huge place for Riodo. I think he's probably of like the options we can have for the left wing, which is where we typically end up having our kick case
yeah,
going
and
towards.
I think
I think
you can't
he's
drop Lewis Rees Summit at the moment either. But what I'm saying is, if that's what was picked, I wouldn't say
yeah,
he's crazy.
yeah, I think so. I said I think Cam Winnett might be. I said I think they're all players who well, I mean Josh Adams I think is a definite in the squad. I think
Oh yeah,
he's probably the most versatile of the back three players, and you can just basically check him in and he'll do a job. Right wing is his least effective if you look at try scoring, but he's actually scored. He has a better scoring ratio at 13 than he does on the right wing. But then Gatlin doesn't typically use his right. It changes depending on the 10, I think. But typically the left winger is the one who does a lot of try scoring. Then the right winger, if they're scoring tries, it's because they've done something. It's not necessarily the system, and it does flip occasionally. Like George North, when George North is the exact opposite. When he got moved to left wing for Cuthbert was scoring all the tries, and everyone was moaning because North wasn't scoring anything.
yeah.
But I think that's the way. Like I think teams do have a tendency of which way they prefer playing towards.
Well, some teams play like an open side and a blind side winger. So I think England did that. So England played Daly sort of blind side and May open side. So May's the one who's supposed to make the line breaks and things. Although
And
it doesn't
Daly's
work because English winners don't score tries. It's just the thing they don't do.
I mean, England haven't been scoring many tries at the moment, but
No.
we'll go to that. But I said I think overall I think Cardiff's right. I think one thing which is always a thing that bothers me is going to be the line outs. But I don't think you've probably got the most. I mean, I don't know what Alex
Fafita
Craig.
is our line out. Alex
Yeah,
Craig is decent, but our line out is Ver Fafita.
I mean, it's quite nice that the fact we've got Seb, Teddy, and Alex who can all jump. I'm not so sure about Mackenzie Martin, but I mean, it's nice having three options. So I think that's as well one thing that's benefited when we've had three second rows and Alex Mann. Our lineup has the option, so we've got something to confuse the opposition with. But yeah, I'm always worried about it. Scrum. This will be the game when Wyn Jones really finds his mojo and causes all sorts of problems. I've just got that feeling in my bones. I thought Harry O'Connor actually did quite well up against Joe Moody for the Barbars game. No, who would have? Yeah, he was
Yeah.
on for a bit, and then it was who would he have been on? Because he came off the
No,
bench. Didn't
Fairbrother started.
yeah, Fairbrother started, and then he came off the bench. Who was the? But Moody seemed to be on for quite a while, so I think he had a bit. But
Angus
who was
Bell
the
was on the bench.
Angus Bell? Yeah. And he was one of the only good things about Australia.
He's Australia's best player by about. He's about twice as good as any other player Australia have got, apart from Will Skelton.
So I thought I quite like I've quite liked Harry O'Connor. I don't think he's necessarily done anything wrong.
No, I think I think he's clearly our first choice tight head as we stand today.
As in, I don't think I've seen enough of Joe Jones yet to form an opinion. But he didn't do what a lot of your other tight ends do, which is and immediately break. So that's always a positive.
That is nice, yes.
Which,
Anyway,
is
should we talk about the day itself? So you and I shall be there. It looks like it's headed to be a sellout. So I'm looking at the little color-coded map that Cardiff have been publishing. So the stands in the middle, sort of on either side, are all sold out, and then half of the stands to the east of the pitch is
so
sold out.
the southeast terrace is sold out. If it's the numbers on the top there, the seated areas, then you've got the two terraces. So you've got the north terrace, which is probably where all the Pontcanna Scarlets have bought their tickets.
Yeah. Almost gone, according to the Cardiff graphic. Where we are in the South Terrace West is yellow, limited availability. The only place that's available is the very side of the East Terrace, which is interesting. Don't know why that might be.
I think that's more the accessible area, if I remember rightly.
Oh, is it?
If I remember, when you start and you go in the club shop, it's not actually that great of view, so it's usually the last thing to fill up.
Okay.
So
we must pop in the club shop. I do like a club shop
because you get the best view of the whole pitch, and then the southeast terrace is where quite a large proportion of the season ticket holders who like stand and go.
Well, that went quite quickly.
Yeah. So I said that there's always I think they've got quite a high proportion of season ticket holders, so they're already gone.
So everyone knows that I talk about attendances a lot. What was it you were telling me about why you think Cardiff's attendance has been so strong in the last couple of years? Because you are the only Welsh team that is, if anything, trending up rather than holding steady or declining.
So I think we got the huge bump after winning the Challenge Cup, which is
that's obviously a long time ago.
Bit of success. Good field goal. 2018.
We won the league since then.
No, it's after you won the league.
No, you won the Challenge Cup in 2016. We won the league in
2018. We won it.
What was it?
It was 2018. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, we got to the semi-final of the Champions Cup.
So, it was the 17-18 season, then the 18. Yeah, because obviously we had the COVID Champions Cup that year. It was a bit there, so I think it's 2018, 2019, yeah.
Anyway, but that's still a while ago.
It was after you won the league, because we've been playing. We played cheat. I remember we'd been playing like cheaters and Southern Kings those seasons, and you won the last Pro 12.
Yes, reigning Pro 12 champions. Thank you.
Yes, but not as recent as Benetton Rainbow Cup champions.
No, but I'm not looking to take that away from them. Anyway, so why you said that still was a while ago. So since post-COVID, you still had crowds that are trending up.
So I think a big part of it. So I think we got a bit of a dip during the issues under Mulverhill and things, and then it sort of shot up again when Dai Young was announced. So I think that left a lot of feel good. Memories of the success back during his first tenure. So people were feeling very positive. Actually, we had some fantastic. As much as everyone maligns the South African sides coming, I felt some of the best crowds were during some of the games against the Stormers and the Stormers, Sharks, and Bulls.
See if I can find the
crowd.
So your last season, Oh no, sorry. Oh, okay, I got it here. So last season, I think, like all Welsh sides, you peak at the derbies.
Yeah,
I think Ospreys, it's either us or Ospreys was your biggest crowd last year. Although your last game of the season last season was over 12,000. I can't remember who that was against.
that would be
That's not
Judgment
Judgment Day,
Day.
by the way. No, it
Oh, not
wasn't.
the
I took
Judgment Day.
Judgment Day out. I took Judgment Day out of this data.
Oh, I'd have to
No,
go
because
through.
it was the Ospreys. It was official home game for the Ospreys Judgment Day because they swapped it.
Yeah. Oh, that would have been the Peter Thomas match. It'd be the match just after
No,
Peter
that was
Thomas.
that was against Sale. I'm only looking at league here.
Oh, I don't know who that would have been then. I'll have to. Who did we have in?
Vamp. I'll look it up.
But yeah, anyway, so I think Do Young and Feel Good sort of went through. All right, we've had a bit of a loss there, and I think we've taken a bit of a dip this so far this season, as all the regions have with all the negativity.
Yeah. Well, have you though? I mean, it's still very early in the season. You have had
Yeah,
a
so I think
favourable run of fixtures so far, though.
yeah, so I think I mean I don't like the fact that all our home games seem to be front loaded to the first half of the season, to the last few
Yeah.
URCs. I think it's balanced out a bit this season, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
been. I mean, speaking of attendances, for at least for this fixture, the average at the moment is about 9,000. But
That's
but it's been
good.
surpassed. Yeah, so at Cap the average is 9,000. Obviously, that average will have been raised during the Cardiff City season. We're at Cardiff City. That would have you've got a few more numbers there, but mostly yeah, because obviously our best average attendance was that year. I think we were in Cardiff City Stadium. We were averaging just under 15,000.
Yeah, but 9,000 is good. 9,000 is a
Yeah,
good number. Um,
yeah. So
uh,
our average last season was 7,200. Currently, we're averaging about just over 6,000. But we haven't
yeah,
had
but it's very early
all
on
our
though.
home
We haven't
derby.
had the
This will
Chris
be our first of the home derbies. So
exactly. We haven't had the Christmas bump. That will raise the average by loads. Anyway, referee Ben Whitehouse. Controversially, I thought Ben Whitehouse had a very good game refereeing Dragons Ospreys the other week.
yeah. So I know there were some issues with the whole Dunbar situation. And his
I don't
performance
think he
of
did
it.
anything wrong though.
No, I don't. I think he obviously did it in his way, which sort of maybe takes attention off the game. But I don't think he made any howlers or his mistakes wrong. I
He is
thought the
extra.
referee first. I thought the Scarlet. I thought I can't remember the guy's name on debut last weekend for Scarlets Ospreys. I thought he was
Tom English,
unbelievably
I
good.
want to say.
Yeah, no, Tom English is the Irish writer who reports on Scottish rugby for BBC. I think it's
Oh,
Mike
okay.
English. I
Mike
think Mike
English.
English ref.
Okay.
But I get a bit bored of. I think ref chat's only really like the only real interesting thing I thought about referees for Cardiff so far is we had 3 Scottish referees in a row, which is more an intriguing thing than anything that I
Oh,
want to
right.
analyze.
Well, you had Holly, didn't you, last week?
Yeah,
She's great.
yeah.
Although I don't know if you actually grounded that last try, I have to be honest.
I
That was
as
Andrew
as a,
Brace. Andrew Brace doesn't give that. Andrew Brace says he hasn't seen the grounding and he disallows it.
yeah, but I think I'm a big believer in if try warding and you can't clearly see it, and it's not clear and obvious. If you can't tell within two goes of the same camera angles, just award it,
Yeah, I agree.
even
I
if it's
agree. That's
against
what I
my
would do.
team.
Yeah. Sorry, just want to correct myself. Your 12,000 wasn't the last game of last season. It's just my data's in the wrong order. It was your New Year's Day fixture against the Ospreys was your best crowd last year, 12,000.
Yeah, I said that I think is close to a sellout because I think as well, um, we won't ever get to the sort of high attendances because I'm pretty sure there's obviously changes to fire regs. The attendances can't be as high as
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah.
I mean, like we're never going
But
to get
still,
to
it's
the
a good
days of the
crowd.
old
12,000 rolls
yeah
with
12,000. I think is an
plenty of
excellent
fans.
crowd. I mean, because I think we'd have. I think nowadays, unless you'd got special permission, similar to when Scarlets were in the semi-finals for Europe, because obviously to host a European semi-final,
We
you've
had
got
to
to
put
have
in temporary seating to get over
yeah, you've got to be up to
15,000.
15,000. I think we'd have to move next door or City Stadium.
Yeah,
I think, but I mean, if you're getting 10, 12,000, I think that's perfectly fine. I think the
agreed.
more interesting thing with Cardiff is because the south stands always fill up faster than north. It always looks emptier than it is because the camera's in the south gantry.
Yeah, the South Africans really struggle with that. The Bulls and the Lions, the stand that the
Yeah,
camera faces is the one that's in the sun, and so nobody sits there. Everyone sits on the camera side, so it looks empty, but it's not. There's like 12,000 people there, 10, 12,000 people there, but you just can't see them on telly.
yeah. I brought it up on the Car Central pod. I thought this one of the things Wales women did quite well is when they opened up the north first. So they absolutely crammed that full, and then opened. I think they opened like a small bit of the stands in the south, which I think annoyed a couple of people who go to Cat regularly and wanted their usual seat. But
There was a Scarlets
the
game.
optics of
Yeah,
there.
there was a Scarlets game a couple of years ago where there was a storm and the weather was really bad, so they closed one of the stands and got everyone. I think I think it was the south stand they closed, and they got everyone in the north. But unfortunately, the camera faces the south stand, so the stadium looked empty, but it wasn't empty. It's just that stand was closed.
Yeah, but I said
Anyway,
but then as we joked, you can't switch the cameras from the south stand to the north stand because they'll nick them.
oh dear, oh dear. Anyway, right.
Yeah.
So come on, let's do predictions.
So, what did I predict on wrap? I think on wrap I predicted
You can change. You
Cardiff
can
by.
change because we've seen the teams now.
I, I I'm pretty sure I picked something like Cardiff by lower end of two scores, so about 8 to 10 points. I looking at teams, I think we should. I mean, we should probably be more, but I think that's perfectly fair when you account for a loss in ability in Welsh derbies, where where players seem to forget
Yeah,
how to play rugby.
yeah.
But I've just got. I don't know why. I think it's just doubting Thomas and me. I've got a nagging feeling that we're going to end up losing by like 10 or something, just because bullshit will happen.
Agreed. Yeah, my prediction is predicated on that Welsh derbies make no sense. So, Scarlets by 2.
Yeah, fair enough.
And specifically, it'll be one of those ones where you're in our half with the clock in the red, and you'll either throw a line out not straight, or you'll chop the ball or something, and we'll win that way.
we need 3 points to win. We go for the corner, try and get the bonus point or something.
Yeah, yeah, I go really.
I can't know. I'm hoping actually, given the choice to give Ben Thomas the kick towards the end of the Storms game, I'm hoping we're not in that mindset. We're in the mindset of just get the wins for now. And that is
Isn't it
one
funny
thing
how
that can't.
because Sasha Feinberg and Gomzulu for that he missed the touch, but he only missed it by about this much. And if he makes it, that's one of the best kicks you've ever seen. So I can't hate him
Yeah,
for it.
but it was. I think you can't. I don't think you. That kick was unbelievable, but I don't think you can take. Like everyone's talking about him missing it. I don't think he missed it. I think that took an absolute excellent piece of athleticism from Ellis Bevan to keep that in. Because it's not like it bounced. It just didn't quite go over the line. Ellis Bevan did have to jump. Similar to Thomas Williams in the 2019 game against World Cup
Yeah,
game against Australia. They have to leap and
yeah.
get in the field. That is very skillful bit, and I think give us if he took that kick again another 10 times, he probably nails it another 8 out of those 10.
Hmm.
So I mean, I don't
What a
think you
player.
can. I don't think you have anything. He is, yeah, very good. I think he's going to be a force to be reckoned with, particularly if he's.
Yeah,
I mean, I think he's a really decent goal kick. Which so that
yeah.
LeBoc's still with the Stormers, or is he moved on now?
No, Lubbock is still. Yeah, Lubbock's playing tomorrow.
So that's going to make Stormers even more worrying when LeBoc's there, because him running the show and then having.
Well, they've got
That
Willemser at 12. They've got Willemser at 12 and Halant at 15.
that's there's some ballers like you could have him coming on at 13. That like you could.
The South Africans
I
are so
reckon. I
good.
reckon you could go for a very lightish back, back division. They've got the pack to. They don't really need the midfield carrier.
Yeah. Anyway, right, come on.
Anyway,
This was supposed to be a mini pod.
yeah, sorry man, this gone from. If anyone's listening to this before the game actually happens, Hugh and I are going to be at the game together, so watch out for a pair of flat caps, maybe a Blues bobble hat. I haven't decided what I'm wearing on my head yet.
I'm going to be in a bubble cap because it's going to be freezing. It's going to be a
Well, then there you
really
go. It'll
cold
be the
one.
wrong one. It'll be the wrong one in a flat cap by the sound of it. Yeah. Feel free to come and say hello. Tell us what you think of the pod. All criticisms welcome, as long as it's constructive. If you're just telling us it's shit, well, it's like, well, fine. What do we do with that? Anyway,
So just don't come and tell me that there's nobody there attending the game because I'll be able to point to the 12,000 people and say, yes, there actually are. I need to get off this horse. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you all for listening to this extra bonus pod. Please check out the socials and the YouTube. So if you are listening to the audio, you get to see the lovely decorations in our room and our many musical instruments between the two of us, and a Christmas tree that needs to go up this weekend.
I need to get our Christmas decorations down from the loft because the girlfriend's going to do them while I'm at the game.
Oh, that's ideal. I'm sure my wife would rather do that. And before anyone questions, the Scarlets top is my wife's, not mine. But that is the season, not the season you won the league, but the final the year after. So that's Will Boyd's actual match jersey.
Oh, wow. Johnny McNicholl
So
scored a hat-trick in that game,
Yeah, and his signature's on there somewhere.
Yeah. And James Davis got pinged for a nothing thing on Johnny Sexton, and they kicked to the corner and scored from it, and that was the game. I've gotten over it.
Before we bring more bad memories for Hugh, thank you all very much for listening. Good night.